All right, welcome back to another short episode of Bo Knows, or Coalition for Common Sense. So I got a beef. I got a bone to pick, and it's been bothering me mostly because I don't hear anybody talking about it in the media. I don't hear anybody talking about it in Congress. So I think it was just about a year ago when we had massive fires in Lahaina, Hawaii. And about 2 years ago now, when we had a train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. So why are we spending $300 million to build a pier in Gaza that can get washed away by some waves and bad weather? $300 million on a pier that got robbed on the very first shipment that was sent there by the people we were supposedly trying to help. We send aid through this $300 million pier, and the aid we sent gets robbed on the pier by the people we're supposed to be giving the aid to. And yet somehow we keep hearing about how Hamas and Gaza and the humanitarian crisis in Palestine, in Gaza and Palestine, and I'm thinking, how about the humanitarian crisis in East Palestine, Ohio, with American citizens? Or the humanitarian crisis in Lahaina, Hawaii, American citizens that pay taxes into our government. We've got $300 billion. We've got $80 billion, $100 billion we can send to Ukraine, and we don't have enough money to help the people over in Lahaina, Hawaii, who have been devastated by inaction by our own government, and some moron over there decided to hold the water back and keep the power on and made all of these series of bad decisions that made the fires worse and killed people. How is it that our government can be so inept that we can spend all of this money helping all of these other countries, but we have absolute desperate need for people who did nothing wrong, that we can't help them? You think we couldn't have gone and built East Palestine, Ohio, rebuilt the entire town for $300 million with American jobs? Probably. But instead, what we have is a bunch of American contractors all lining up right now and trying to get contracts and positioning themselves with their lobbyists to get contracts to rebuild Ukraine. Last time I checked, we didn't have anything to do with Ukraine actually being up in flames. At least when we had the Marshall Act, when we had to go back and rebuild part of Europe after World War II, at least we had a part in World War II. We got no part in this war over in Ukraine, and yet somehow, if we've got American companies lining up and lobbying to get the contracts to rebuild Ukraine, where do you think the money's going to come from to rebuild Ukraine? Pretty sure it's going to come from us. Why can't we spend enough money to get Lahaina, Hawaii back up and running and people not having their lives devastated? Billions of dollars being spent in places that the people hate us. We're still trying to help Palestine and Gaza, and I read a statistic the other day that said 75 to 78% of all Palestinians still support Hamas, don't want a two-state solution, want no part of it. And yet we're going to spend billions of dollars trying to have aid and send aid over there when we've got Americans that need it right now. It makes no sense to me, and it pisses me off that nobody in the federal government that I can find, or nobody in the media, is even talking about Hawaii anymore. It's like, oh, well, hey, next day, new story. Oh, what about all these people over in Gaza that there's a humanitarian crisis? Yeah, sorry. Hey, we'll get to you in a minute. We got some stuff to do over in Hawaii that we got to take care of first. Until we get that crap together, and we don't have veterans that can't get good health care, medical care, and yet we're going to give medical care, free medical care, to illegal immigrants that are coming across the border. Go to California, get free medical care. Go to California as a veteran that fought to keep the freedoms that the people that are trying to get across the border are trying to get some of. They want those freedoms, but the veterans that fought for that can't get their health care the way they're supposed to, but the people who come across the border illegally, they can get that health care. Makes no sense. It is the ineptness and ineptitude of our federal government and the stupidity of the people running it that can't get their crap together, and it is no more than virtue signaling to try to appease a certain amount of people that aren't real bright, that have a lot of issues for some reason whatsoever. I don't know if their uncle wouldn't play catch with them when they were kids or whatever, but they got issues. You can't appease those people. They're crazy. You can't argue with crazy. But we can do something to help Americans that deserve our help and have done everything they were supposed to so that they knew we'd be there when it was their time of need. If you lived in Lahaina, Hawaii, would you want everybody forgetting about you right now? If you lived in East Palestine, Ohio, would you want everybody forgetting about you? Forget the fact that Joe Biden didn't even show up for over a year to the town because he was too busy. This is the same man, by the way, who's been on vacation over 40% of his presidency, but he was too busy to go to East Palestine, Ohio. He can make it to all of those fundraisers with all those big dollar bigwigs out in Hollywood, but he can't make it to East Palestine, Ohio to say, hey, I'm really sorry that the train derailed and then we blew up a big plume of toxic smoke all over your town and we destroyed a bunch of crap, but hey, sorry. We got to get our crap together. People deserve better than this. Americans deserve better than this. All right. Come on back next time for another episode of the Common Sense Coalition, or Coalition for Common Sense, or Bonos, or whatever the hell you want to